Hello, everybody, and welcome. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's IEP Live Learn Lunch. This is our 109th IEP Live Learn Lunch. Wow, that was a mouthful. And it's on the week that we published our 100th edition of the IEP Learning Network. So thank you very much for joining us this week. Really excited this week to be joined by Rob and Ramesa from Business to Business, who are going to be talking to us about how we can build the motivation persistence of job seekers with complex needs. So with no further ado, I'm going to hand you over to today's facilitators and say thank you very much for joining us today.
Great. Hello, everybody. My name is Rob Gray. I'm the Strategic Development Officer for Business to Business. And this is my colleague.
Hi, my name is Ramesa and I'm Social Media Executive at Business.
Great. We're really pleased that you're able to join us today for our webinar on building the motivation and persistence of job seekers with complex needs. This is a repeat of the webinar we did approximately 3 months ago, but we've put in some new information and we're really looking forward to the question and answer session where we believe we'll have different questions and people raising new issues with us. So let's have a look at what the need is for this webinar. Well, we all encounter participants who don't appear to be interested in finding work. And obviously a key component of employment support is to try and build that motivation. Lack of motivation can really derail progress towards employment. There are many theories about what drives motivation, some that have been applied to employment support settings. But it is quite difficult to apply those as an employment coach. So during this webinar, we're going to derive 14 top tips for employment coaches to use within their frontline delivery from some of the most widely accepted theories of motivation. It's particularly important to consider motivation when supporting people with complex needs, because people with complex needs face multiple barriers, and if they believe even one of their barriers is insurmountable, that can dramatically lower their motivation to find work. Also, if they believe that they can overcome all their barriers, but the totality of that challenge seems really daunting, that can really lower their motivation to attempt it. And also, people with complex needs are more likely to have had little experience of work or actually disappointing experiences of work. And therefore, they may question the value of getting a job if they predict that that experience of work is going to be very negative for them. Okay, so what is motivation? Well, motivation can be defined as the willingness to act in the service of a goal. And it's relevant to practitioners of all types who face the task of fostering more versus less motivation in those that they're trying to support. So motivation is a big issue for doctors working with patients, nurses working with patients, social workers, teachers, all sorts of practitioners working with people do need to build and foster motivation within the people that they're supporting. Okay.
So the first theory that we're going to look into is self-determination, which states that motivation can be influenced by extrinsic forces, so external rewards and penalties such as the salary and status from a new job, recognition, respect and approval from others, and the avoidance of disapproval and penalties. And intrinsic forces, which are internal drives, so such as aspiration, so to be better and eventually fully competent, to gain confidence, to satisfy our curiosity and to do what we believe is the right thing to do. So the first top tip would be to make the most of extrinsic motivation by drawing attention to all the external rewards associated with getting a job. So this can be achieved by drawing attention to the starting salary for a job, undertaking a better off in-work calculation, describing the possibilities for future pay and career progression, asking the participant if their family and friends will be pleased for them if they got the job, and describing the wider benefits of work, for example, meeting new people or being recognized as contributing to the community. The second top tip would be that external rewards from job acquisition can seem a distant prospect for participants who face a long journey to employment. therefore sees opportunities to build in extrinsic rewards throughout the customer journey. And this can be through identifying milestones on the customer journey that can be celebrated on achievement, giving praise when reviewing progress, sharing progress made with the participants' Job Centre plus Job Coach so that they can praise them too, and using group work to provide opportunities for participants to recognise each other's progress.
Okay, so extrinsic motivation can be built by helping participants recognise the external factors that they would like to achieve, but intrinsic motivation is considered to be actually more powerful than extrinsic motivators. And we can design tasks so that they trigger intrinsic motivation. So that can be achieved through making tasks engaging, building in lots of stepping stones to give participants an internal sense of achievement on reaching those stepping stones, and providing sufficient training to participants so that they begin to find job applications easier and gain satisfaction from feeling that they've completed that job application really well. Okay. Self-determination theory also states that what drives intrinsic motivation is a need for autonomy, which is being in control of our lives and being able to make choices for ourselves, competence, being able to do things well, and relatedness, being able to have close relationships with others. And our fourth top tip is to, when working with participants, draw out how the acquisition of job search and application skills can fulfill the person's need for competence, autonomy, and relatedness. So, for instance, when you're working with your participant, you could ask them, would you like to join the employability skills course so that you can find jobs, choose between them, and apply them without much assistance from me? And most participants would probably say, yes, I really would like to be able to apply for jobs without support. And so you can then confirm that the employability skills course is liable to be able to give them the skills so that they can be pretty self-supporting. You could ask participants, would they like to develop their job search skills so that they found it easy to apply for any job that interests them? And this is autonomy. This is them being able to choose for themselves what jobs to go for, and then have the skills to apply for those jobs. So that be pretty much self-supporting in that way too. And finally, you could ask the participant, would they enjoy getting to know other people on the employability skills course? And of course, this relates to relatedness. Most people like working with others and get to know others, and that's a major motivator for them. So most people would see getting to know other people on a course as a positive feature of that course. And it's useful to draw the attention of the participant to any positive features of the activity that you want to encourage them to take up. Okay, so we're coming on to another theory now, which is expectancy value theory, which states that a participant's motivation depends on how much they believe they'll succeed, which is the expectancy component, and the value that they place on that success, which is the value component. Now, of all the theories, this is my favorite. And that's because it's easily applicable in the employment support scenario. So we can divide expectancy and value up into four components, and they are: does the participant know what jobs they are aiming for? Does the participant think they can get those jobs? That's the expectancy components, their belief in their ability to succeed. And then the two value components are: does the participant know the rewards from getting the job, and does the participant think that the rewards from getting that job are worthwhile? So if you have a look at this table, on the first row, we can see that everything is yes. So they know, the participant knows what jobs they're aiming for. They think they can get those jobs. They do think the rewards from getting those jobs, that they do know the rewards from getting those jobs, and they do think the rewards are worthwhile. And that participant is therefore likely to be quite motivated to apply for those jobs. But if we have a look at the second row, there's a no there. So although they know what jobs they're aiming for, they don't think they can get those jobs. They do know what the rewards are, and they think the rewards are worthwhile. But they're not going to be motivated because however much effort they put in, they don't believe they can succeed. On the third row, we can see that the no is in a different position. So here they know what jobs they're aiming for. They do think they can get the job, but they don't know what the rewards for getting that job are, and they can't judge whether the rewards are worthwhile because they don't know what those rewards are. And consequently, they're not motivated. So an example for this row would be somebody who is looking at a 0-hour job. So a 0-hour job, the person won't know what number of hours they're going to be working, and therefore they don't know what the reward, the financial reward for that job is going to be. And that's going to severely hinder their motivation because they can't assess whether or not those rewards are worthwhile. And then on the fourth row, we see that the no is in a different position again. So this person knows what jobs they're aiming for. They think they can get those jobs. They do know what the rewards are for getting those jobs, but they don't think the rewards are worthwhile. So this could be somebody who is looking at a job that involves night shifts, but really doesn't want to do night shifts. So therefore, on balance, they know what the reward is, but they think the effort and the need to do night shift is not worth the financial reward they're going to get from that job. So therefore, they're not motivated. Okay, so that's how expectancy value works when you're working with a participant. So we can look at each of these columns in turn. We can look at what you can do to help the participant know what jobs they're aiming for, help them decide and believe whether they can get those jobs, help them to identify what rewards are available, and also identify whether they feel the rewards are worthwhile. So on the first of those columns, we're helping the participant gain clarity about the goals they're aiming for, to learn more about the jobs. And we can do this quite simply by using career resources to inform the participant about the jobs they can do, look at sample job descriptions and person specifications. We can arrange employer-employee talks to clarify what a job actually feels like. We can map out a typical day in the life of a person doing that job, and we can discuss transport, workwear, childcare, and other practicalities associated with that job. So you can see that all of those things correspond to the first column, which is, do I know what job I'm aiming for? This tells the person about the job. Okay, top tip 6 is about the next column, and this is helping your participant believe in their ability to achieve that job or achieve a goal. If it's a course that you'd like them to do, employability skills perhaps, this is helping them believe in their ability to succeed on that course. And we can do this by breaking up major undertakings into a series of smaller tasks. So if it's a huge application form, you could break that up into working on different sections on different days. You can incorporate positive thinking, confidence building content into employability skills and pre-employment training to build their belief and confidence in their ability to succeed. You can let them know what one-to-one support is available within job search workshops for somebody who's going to need that one-to-one support. You can use job boards to display vacancies, employer talks and workplace tours to reassure participants that there are jobs available and they're jobs that would suit them. You can show statistics of past participant success. You can show video, good news stories, including participant testimony. You can get employer endorsement for your activities so that the participant associate your activities with an actual job. And you can describe the in-work support you can provide to help with the transition from unemployment into work. Okay, top tip 7 is now focusing on the third column of that table, which builds your participants' awareness of the rewards they will get from achieving their goals. So if we go back to the table, just to refresh ourselves. So this is for the column that says, do I know the rewards for getting these jobs? So this is all about helping inform your participant about what those rewards will be. And you can do this by providing information on in-work benefits and undertaking a better off calculation. describing progression routes and the availability of necessary skills support to make that progression real. You can describe the wider benefits of working, such as the opportunity to meet people, to gain a sense of satisfaction, to gain recognition for their achievements, and to develop personally as a result of experiences gained at work. And you can describe the ABC approach, through which people firstly get any job, then a better job, and then a career. And that is the process through many people go through when moving into the labour market, and explain that it's easier once in work to get another job that may be more interesting or satisfying. And then top tip 8, which it relates to the 4th column, which is about whether the participant thinks that the rewards for the job will be worth the effort. And this can be through establishing, you can help the participant work this out by establishing a working relationship that encourages your participant to be honest about their feelings about a particular job opportunity. Now, this is really important. This is about the effectiveness of your relationship, your working relationship with that participant. Initially, the participant is likely to not be very open about their feelings about particular jobs, but hopefully after a few sessions in which you work with them, that trust will build, and the participant will open up and be quite honest, and you should encourage them to be honest about how they feel about job opportunities, because that helps you then diagnose whether there is an issue, and you can understand better their barriers, because it enables you to explore what those barriers might be. You may need to drill down by asking a series of why questions to get to the nubbin of why a participant feels the effort outweighs the reward for a particular job. So if you put a job in front of them and they say, no, I don't really want to go for this, it doesn't really attract me, this job, this is all indicating that potentially the reward outweighs the effort. And then you'd want to ask them why they felt that way, and you may need to ask them several why questions to get to the nubbin of what the issue is. Because the first answer they give to why, it might simply be, oh, I don't like the look of it. And you may need to say, well, why is that? Why don't you like the look of it? And then they might say, oh, it seems a long way to go. And then you might need to say, well, why do you feel it's a long way to go? And then they might say, I don't like using buses. And then you've got to the nubbin of what the problem is. There's an issue about the use of buses, or perhaps public transport in general, and that could be an anxiety issue. It could be all sorts of things. You need to explore what that is with them, and reveal what that is. And it might be something that you can help them with, or it might be something that needs specialist support for. And then if drilling down reveals that they're a little unrealistic about what's possible with their skill set, and this may be revealed by you putting lots of jobs in front of them and them keep saying that they don't fancy those jobs. It's quite likely then perhaps they're being unrealistic about what's achievable for them as an individual. The way you can deal with that is explain that the minimum wage is deliberately set to ensure a reasonable standard of living can be afforded. Although right now, with the cost of living crisis, obviously that the minimum wage as it is set now may not be able to afford a reasonable standard of living, and it will need to be adjusted to reflect that in the near future. But generally, the minimum wage is set to ensure a reasonable standard of living. So tell them about that. Do a better work calculation to ensure that they are aware of the financial reward of that particular job and the benefits, additional benefits, in work benefits that they can get to support them. And describe through the ABC approach skills acquisition, smart ideas that they may have, and sometimes just luck, that many people actually do surprisingly well in the labour market and do progress in work, and from very what might seem quite basic starting positions, then go on to achieve great things, and maybe share with them some participant stories, good news stories, how people have progressed in work. But obviously they've got to start somewhere for that to happen. Okay, well, we've developed this tool to help you check your participant motivation towards any activity. So that you could use this tool for a participant who's about to embark on a job search session or an IT class or about to take part in an interview. And this asks the participant to give a score out of 10 for the questions that relate to the 4 components of expectancy value theory. So are they clear about the goal of this activity? They give a score out of 10 for that. Do they believe they can achieve this goal? They give a score out of 10 for that. Do they know what the rewards are going to be when they achieve that goal? Give a score out of 10 for that. And do they believe the rewards will be worth the effort, and get them to give a score out of 10 for that. And when they're given the scores out of 10, don't make any judgments, don't comment, just let them give the score out of 10 that they want to give. But do encourage them to be honest. And from this, you will hopefully be able to see very easily where, if any, there is a motivational issue. And I actually use this in my day-to-day life. If I find that I'm not motivated to do something, it won't occur to me often why that is. And sometimes I use this to work out, is it because I don't know what it's going to involve and what it's going to lead to? Is it because I don't think I can actually achieve it? Is it because I don't know what the benefits of achieving that activity will be? Or is it that I actually fundamentally think the rewards are not worth the effort that it'll take? And sometimes I surprise myself. Sometimes I think I can't be bothered to do something because I don't think the rewards are going to be worth the effort. But then actually I find that when I fill this in, it's actually more because I'm going to find it difficult and I don't think I can necessarily achieve it. So maybe use this tool in your own lives, and I think you'll be surprised how insightful it is. Okay.
So we have here Maslow's hierarchy of need theory, which states that people are motivated by 5 categories of needs, which they seek to retain in the following order. So you've got firstly physiological needs, so safety needs, love and belonging needs, esteem needs, and finally self-actualization. So top tip number 9 would be that employment is a safety need, which people will not want to focus upon until their physiological needs, including food, shelter, and sleep, are satisfied. Therefore, at their first interview with you, check that your participant has met their physiological needs. So you can do this by checking, are they eating properly? Are they getting enough sleep? Are they at risk of homelessness?
Okay, and so now we're coming on to another theory, which is Locke and Latham's goal setting theory, which sees goals as key determinants of behavior and states that the nature of goals will impact the participants' motivation to achieve them. So we can apply this quite easily by, in our top tip 10, tailoring objectives, goals, and milestones to fit each individual participant. And you can do this by setting challenging but attainable goals with support provided as needed. Too easy, too difficult, or unrealistic goals won't motivate your participant. And that partly resonates with the expectancy value theory, that there's that question about, does the participant believe they can succeed? And that also applies to goals. Does the participant feel that the goal is achievable? You can also do this by setting goals that are specific, so that the participant knows exactly what they're aiming at and what the achievement looks like. So rather than leaving the goal as a very broad goal, such as to find a job, you can make that goal more specific around find a job in this sector, at this level, in this location, and the participant is going to be much more motivated by a more specific goal than something that's a very broad brush that it can't really get a handle on. And then finally, setting the goals of group activities to fit each individual within the group. So have a look at the induction that you give to your group activity and tailor that so that it resonates with the individuals in the group. And obviously you need to know about the aspirations of those individuals within the group. So ask their employment coaches to share with you some background information on the aspirations of the individuals in the group, so that you really can set goals of group activities to fit those particular individuals. And then coming on to a related theory, which is the Hawthorne effect, which states that people are more productive when they know their work is being measured and studied, and that people need recognition for a job well done and reassurance that their opinion matters. Okay, so quite a lot there. So firstly, we can derive top tip 11 from this, and that is to build in opportunities to monitor and recognize progress. And we can do that by setting goals that are measurable, so the participant can measure their progress towards that goal. And we can also do that by building in opportunities to review the achievement of goals and let the participant know in advance that you and their JCP work coach are keen to see them achieve that goal. Okay, so in that way we can measure and put in reviews to check their progress. And then looking back at the other component of the Hawthorne effect, which relates to, if we go back to that slide, reassurance that their opinion matters right at the end there. Top tip 12 suggests that during reviews with your participant, even if the sensible next steps are obvious to you as the coach, take the time to consult your participant on what they feel their next step should be, and check that they're happy with what you believe their next step should be, so that they feel that their opinion matters. So this relates to the Hawthorne effect, but it also relates going right back to our early slide on intrinsic motivation and the three components: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. And this relates to the autonomy component, being in control of their lives and making decisions for themselves. So this is touching on that autonomy, the motivation as well. Okay, so we've looked at a number of theories, and this is also a theory, but it's more in the form of a model that you can use when working with participants. It's called the trans-theoretical model, or alternatively the motivational dialogue, motivational interviewing approach. And it proposes that the process of behavior change or motivational change involves a series of 5 stages, including pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. So let's have a look at all of those components. So at the pre-contemplation stage, an individual may or may not be aware of a problem and has no thought of changing their behavior or their level of motivation towards that issue. Okay. In the next stage, which involves moving from pre-contemplation to contemplation, the individual develops a desire to change behavior. So imagine if you're working with someone, who, let's say you're a nurse and you're working with someone who smokes, and you are there to help them give up smoking. At the pre-contemplation stage, the individual may think they love smoking, they haven't got a problem. At the pre-contemplation to contemplation stage, the individual begins to develop a desire to give up smoking. At the next stage, during preparation or decision, the individual intends to change their behavior within the forthcoming time period. So this is the stage at which the participant makes a commitment to change. So if we have a look at the stage, that's the preparation stage. So they're beginning to make a commitment to change. During the action stage, the individual begins to exhibit new behavior consistently. So they're in the process of changing their behavior. They're beginning to stop smoking. They're attempting to stop. And then finally, the individual enters the maintenance stage when the new behavior becomes habitual and they're able to maintain that new behavior. So they're the 5 stages. Now, the way you work with a participant to help them move through these stages is to use motivational interviewing, dialogue, to ask them questions which helps them understand where they're at in that stage and contemplate moving to the next stage. Okay, so at the pre-contemplation stage, the sorts of questions you might ask might be to ask them what they feel the consequences of their behavior or their, in the case of job search, their lack of motivation to look for work, what do they think the consequences of this would be in the short term and in the long term? And you can help them work through what those consequences might be, because if they're on a mandatory program, you can explain to them that, you know, the Job Centre Plus have certain expectations of what they will do, and clearly they will want to see their progress. You could explain what the long-term consequences of not working can be, and of course they can be financial, but they can be health consequences. There's research available that shows that people not working for many years are more at risk of developing certain health conditions. There are consequences to relationships in people's lives, because people in their family, their partners may have expectations about their whether or not they will work, and there can be consequences for relationships if people choose not to work. So really, at the pre-contemplation stage, you're helping that person understand what their situation is better. You're not telling them that they have to make that change, but you're helping them understand what the consequences of not making that change are. And then hopefully, by understanding fully what the consequences might be, they might then change their mind, and they might begin to move to the next stage and move into contemplation of, well, what would life be like if I do change my view on this? And let's say, okay, I do want to look for work. How will things be different? And you help build that desire to change by obviously talking about the positive aspects of work, not just the financial, but the fact they'll meet people, they'll feel that they're contributing to society, and there's all sorts of benefits of working. I mean, I've enjoyed lots of different jobs, and each of those jobs gave me all sorts of additional benefits. So there's been jobs in which I've traveled, I've been abroad for work, I've been all over the UK for work, I've met all sorts of different people, I've enjoyed working with my colleagues like Ramesa. There's loads of benefits, and you can talk to the participant about what those benefits can be. And you can see how by doing this, at each stage, there's different conversations that you'll have, and through those conversations, you'll move that person through the stages. And it can be a very effective way of helping people change their behavior or change their motivation to do something. It's helped people give up smoking. It's helped people move from substance abuse. It's helped people become motivated to do all sorts of things which have in the long run been very good for them. It does, however, require specialist training. There are courses available. They tend to be 2 or 3 day courses. They're quite intensive, because there's a lot of skills to pick up in the way that you talk to people. But I recommend, if you are particularly working with people at the pre-contemplation stage, and you're finding a lot of people on your programs that really have no desire to find work, and yet there's expectations upon them to do so, then you may want to look into the stages of change, trans-theoretical model, motivational interviewing, as a tool for you to use with those particular individuals. Okay, so top tip 13 is simply stage-specific approaches, such as motivational dialogue, may be helpful when working with participants that have either no intention of seeking employment or have just an embryonic desire to change and to begin to seek employment. Okay.
So looking at persistence can be defined as keeping at a task and finishing it despite the obstacles or the effort involved. So research undertaken in Denmark in 2014 indicates that self-control has an even greater effect on job search intensity than levels of motivation. And persistence is greatly affected by self-control, i.e. the ability to control one's thoughts and actions in response to stimuli. For example, the ability to switch off the telly to complete a job application. So looking at the final top tip, that would be to encourage participants to proactively self-control, and do this by recommending participants to set aside an area at home to undertake job search away from other distractions like TV and magazines, to ensure the participant has all the resources and equipment that they need so that they don't get distracted looking for them. for example, paper, web addresses, exemplar CVs, job application forms, and ask participants to identify certain hours every day for job search and ask them to self-monitor whether they are sticking to this routine. Build up hours per day over a few weeks if the participant is unlikely to cope with several hours a day at the outset. And help the participant plan what they are going to do in each job search session. As well as this, using inspirational quotations such as the quote by Thomas Jefferson, "I'm a great believer in luck and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it," or the quote by George Burnham, I can't do it, it has never accomplished anything, but I will try, has performed wonders. And lastly, suggest that the participant builds in small rewards when they start each day. For example, a boiled sweet when they first sit down at their table.
Okay, and I particularly find that really helpful. So I've got a pack of boiled sweets at home because I work at home 3 days a week, and sometimes that's what gets me to my table at the beginning of the day. Just the thought of that boiled sweet, and also if I've got a particularly hard task. So I occasionally write bids, and they're tough, and starting out writing a bid is probably the toughest moment, and I just have a boiled sweet when I start, and that gets me going. And so it's amazing what a very small thing can do to just give you that little incentive to start on something. Okay, so that's the end of the slideshow, and so we're now available now for questions and answers. So please, if anybody's got questions and answers, we'd love to questions for us. We'd love to have a go at answering those. So if you could put them in the chat, or let us, or just come on and give us it verbally.
Hello. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. While we're waiting, while people are typing, oh, excuse me, I need to clear my throat. We have had some comments during the session. Thank you very much, both of you, for that, Rob and Ramesa. Donna has said there's some really interesting tips here for our general practice. Many of our participants face barriers to learning. The language of autonomy is really important. And she put, sorry, she meant employment, but I think it's the same thing, isn't it? Our participants are on a learning journey as well as seeking employment. So I think that was a very good comment, Donna. Shannon has put, I wonder if anyone knows at the contemplation stage, so we're going back to that trans-theoretical model now, or the stages of change. At that contemplation stage, is the desire to change usually intrinsic? So that's one for Rob and Ramesa. Is it, would you say it's intrinsic then?
It can be, and generally intrinsic motivations are more powerful than extrinsic, and the extrinsic motivations also are probably already known by the participants. So there's only limited things you can do to draw raise their awareness of those extrinsic motivators. So getting the participant to think about what it would mean to them personally to achieve things can be very helpful. I mean, certainly when I've looked at jobs to apply for personally, that's been a big factor in whether or not I've chosen to go for a job or go for make a change in career, you know, make an even bigger change, actual career change. So yes, I think really important intrinsic motivators, and so having a conversation along those lines with the participant would be good. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. So Donna's also asked if we can have a reminder of what training looks like at each stage of the motivation cycle. I wonder if she means the names of each stage, or maybe Donna, you could pop that in the chat for me and let me know if you meant that.
Yeah. Can I come in on that? Yeah, there are some descriptions of motivational interviewing training schemes on the web. So If you put in stages of change, training, practitioner training, or motivational interviewing, practitioner training, you will see training schedules and the components of that training for practitioners. So perhaps have a look on the web and see who's providing the training and what the content is. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you very much. I'm trying to remember, you will probably know this off the top of your head, Robert. Stages of change, the model was, it was declementing someone, wasn't it, if someone wanted to do some extra reading, and I can't remember the other name.
Yep, sorry, no, I can't.
I can't, no, I remembered the one that's easy to remember. I will pop that in the chat for everybody in a minute. While I'm looking for that, Scott has asked if you can remind him of what top tip 13 was, please.
Oh, yeah, well, I've got some notes, so I can easily do that. Stage 13. Yeah, this does relate to the stages of change model, trans-theoretical model. So that was simply that stage-specific approaches may be helpful when working with participants that have either no intention of seeking employment or only have an embryonic desire to begin seeking employment. So this is people who have a real motivational a lack of motivation, and they're at the pre-contemplation stage. So it's simply just saying that if there's any group that you'd perhaps use the stages of change model with, it's that group. Not all of your participants hopefully will be at that far away from wanting work. But you may find that 10%, 15% are.
Excellent, thank you very much. And it's Prochaska. I've probably just really mispronounced that name, but it's Prochaska and declement, which is why I remembered the easier to pronounce. So that's fantastic. Thank you. Now, Val has asked if we will be sharing the slides at the end of the session.
We can do. If anybody would like a copy of the PowerPoint, I'm very happy to send that. So if you email me at my email address, I'm very happy to send the slides.
What I can do to make it easier for you, Rob, if that helps, I can send out a PDF of the slides to everyone who requests them. Yeah,
let's do that. Yes.
Well, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
we can do that. And I've just seen that I have popped that in the chat, the name, if people want to research the model, but I think I've mistyped the surname, so my apologies, I've missed an N out there, but I'll get that back in for you. So absolutely, Val, or Valerie, sorry, I shouldn't shorten people's names without asking permission, should I? My apologies, Valerie.
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay, good. It's one of those things you do automatically, isn't it? And you never know, sometimes people don't like it, but that's wonderful, thanks, I'll get them out. So Scott wants them, Val wants them, Anna said yes please, and I think Donna does too. So anyone else that wants them, just let me know. You can pop that in the chat and I'll get those sent straight out to you. Anyone got any other questions for Rob and Ramesa while we have them here? I know it was a really engaging session and you've all been writing notes, but here is your opportunity to ask them.
I just wanted to ask, sorry, my camera's not working at the moment. It's just really with regards to people that feel stuck, you know, where they've had like a gap in their career history. And generally, I see myself as quite a motivator. I'm not a sitting still person, and I support people the best way that I can. But obviously, using this model that you've just covered, I just caught the end bit of it. That's why I've asked for the slides, because I've just finished teaching. Is that the best approach, the model that you've just covered of how to, I've missed the first few tips, so I probably need to read them, I think.
Yeah, what I would do with someone who describes a sense of being stuck is firstly use the expectancy value theory tool, which is on slide, just looking through my notes, slide 17, and this enables you to ask them to give a score out of 10 as to whether they're clear about what they want to achieve, whether they believe they can achieve that goal, whether they know what the rewards will be if they achieve that goal, and whether they believe the rewards will be worth the effort. And I think particularly if somebody describes a sense of being stuck, you do need to diagnose what's underlying that. And it could be that they don't really know what's possible for them, in which case that relates to the first part of that expectancy value theory. They're not clear about the goals of what they're doing with you. They don't know what could be achieved. Or it could be that they have had lots of unfortunate experiences, and their confidence has been knocked, and they don't believe they could achieve that goal or any other. And this tool will help you diagnose where the issue is, and then you can explore that even more with them and get to the nubbin of what that issue is about. And it'll often, once you know what the motivational issue is, it's often very easy to help somebody with that. But the problem with motivation is a lot feeds into it, and you can't tackle it without knowing the exact cause of the demotivation. So this tool helps drill down into what the exact cause is. So try that one on slide 17.
17, thank you.
Okay, has anybody else got any questions for us? We're really pleased to answer anything you'd like to. We'll have an attempt anyway.
I did put a question in the chat, but I wonder if it's got lost amongst the comments. So I did really want to hear your opinion, though, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's great, Donna. Yeah.
I put, is there anything we can look at regarding in the questioning? You were talking about questioning techniques that you could use at each stage. And I hadn't thought of different types of questions at each stage, really. So I thought, is there any further research I could do on that?
Yeah, I think you will find on the internet there are descriptions of questions that you can use at each stage. You will find on the on the internet that descriptions of motivational interview are often quite specific to the participants and issues that they're supporting. So there's a lot on the use in healthcare, but so you'll find that the questions that have been developed for working with people at each stage then obviously relate to that particular healthcare need that patient has. So I'm not sure if there are sets of questions on the internet or in manuals that you can use specifically for the employment support context. Personally, I've written a manual on managing challenging behavior in learning settings where people who are unemployed are taking part in learning, and I did include a chapter on motivational interviewing, and there are questions within that chapter on how you'd work with a learner who is exhibiting challenging behavior or is demotivated and not keen to participate in that learning. So you may find that there are some useful questions within that, and I can let Helen have the link to that manual if that's useful. But I think what you will find is you probably have to attend actual training really to get the banks of questions for each stage. I think that would come with the training that you take part in. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. I'm really sorry, I lost all of my power for a moment then. So I lost you for a moment, but I'm back. So apologies. Hopefully nobody noticed I was gone. Do we have any other questions? No questions at the moment. I've got my video switched off now because I have had to join from a different device and I'm looming over it. So apologies for that. So if we have no other questions at the moment, I think it's been a really engaging session, and I think there's been lots of interesting models shared that people can read more around. And as we've said, we will share a PDF. And if anyone would like to reach out and contact Rob, I'm sure I could pass your details on. So yes, at this stage, brilliant. I can see lots of people saying thank you so much. It's been very interesting. And I know from the questions we've been had that everyone's enjoyed it. So thank you, Rob and Ramesa, for a really engaging session. Thank you everyone for attending us. As you can hear, I'm a little bit flustered because the whole house electric has gone off where I am, but these things are sent to try us. Yeah, I will get those slides out, but we'll also be sharing this session via the YouTube channel. I can see a couple of people have asked for Rob and Ramesa's details to be shared, so I will go ahead and share those emails addresses across. But thank you very much for your time today.
Great, we love doing it. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, we will have you back again in the future to do another session. But in the meantime, thank you very much. When I'm not in the middle of an electronic, thankfully, thankfully there is a good signal for my phone here. In the middle of an electrical problem, I'll be a bit more calm at the end of the session. Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all on next week's Live Learn Lunch and Rob and Ramesa at a future session. Thanks, everybody.
Great. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.